beautifuls. Welcome. My name is Giselle, co-host of the Strong Sunflowers podcast and founder of G is for Growth. And today we're gonna go over Jay Shetty's new book, 8 Rules of Love by Jay Shetty. He talks all about how to find it, how to keep it, and how to let it go, because some of us do not know how to let it go. I have so many questions. If you have any questions about love, is it supposed to feel easy? Though opposites do attract. When you meet your soulmate, will you know? Is love all you need? All these freaking questions that you may have, this book right here answers them for you. It gives you such a different and fresh perspective into love and what love is supposed to be. Like, bruh. So before we start, you already know, make sure that you subscribe, hit that notification button. I post every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern time. Make sure that you like, subscribe, comment, leave a comment if you take anything from this video. But before we start, before we dig into those 8 rules, you need to grab a pen and paper. You need to grab your journal. You need to grab something. You need to write these things down because these are things that you are going to want to apply in your life. I promise you, these 8 rules of love will change your love life. Not only romantically, but platonic. So if you haven't gotten a copy of this book, after you watch this video, of course, go get it. So when I first heard about this book, it was from the Red Table Talk with Jada Pinkett Smith. Jay Shetty came on the Red Table Talk and he talked about this new book that he's coming up with. And he mentioned 4 things that he wants to touch on in the book. He mentioned that he wants to talk about preparing for love, practicing love, protecting love, and perfecting love. And oh my gosh, when I read the second part in the book about practicing love, he said when we extend our love to others without sacrificing the love that we give to ourselves, game changer. I knew this book was gonna be the book for me, and I'm so excited to share with you guys what he has written. This book is amazing. But without further ado, let's begin. Rule number 1. So rule number 1 that he talks about is let yourself be alone. I feel like so many of us are running so fast to get into another relationship after a failed relationship that we don't take the time to be alone and kind of reflect on where we went wrong. Because we love to know where the other person went wrong, but we don't take enough time to go back into the relationship and say, hey, my communication style is trash. I need to work on that. Hey, I did this X, Y, and Z, and that's something that I need to work on before I go into another relationship. We're always seeking validation in other people, so we run to other relationships to fix us or to fix what we thought was wrong in that last partnership. But to be honest, the only similarity here is us. We are the variable that ties all of this together. So if we don't change and if we don't learn from our mistakes, we can't move forward. And especially knowing the difference between being alone and being lonely. I feel like a lot of people are lonely because they haven't been alone. And he talks about that solitude, being in that solitude mindset of getting to know yourself. Who are you? What do you like? What do you want? What are you expecting from life? What do you want from life? It's so important. And he also mentioned that in a study done in University of Toronto, they talked about how a lot of people are settling for less satisfying relationships because they just don't want to be alone. I'd rather be with someone that's mediocre than to be by myself. But girl, oh my gosh, if you guys follow me, you know that this year I've been taking solo dates, and I took myself out on a date to dinner, and I sat there by myself, and I had such a freaking amazing time having internal conversation with myself and just enjoying my company. I feel like it's so important. Why would someone want to hang out with you or spend time with you or enjoy your company if you don't like your own company? Solitude is such a blessing. It's such a blessing because that's where you get to know yourself. And when you know yourself, no other outside force can come into your life and tell you who you are. And in the book, he talks about 3 stages that you need to go through to get through that loneliness and really elevate your life. Stage number 1, presence. You need to be present with yourself. Be present in that space. Take up space. Let yourself take up space and spend that time with yourself, whether it's through meditation, journaling, reflecting on your life and what you want in it. What do you want? Not what your mama wants, not what your ex-boyfriend, ex-fiance, ex-husband, your kids, whatever it is. but what do you want in your life? Number 2, discomfort. Get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And when you sit with that discomfort, I suggest that you pinpoint those triggers that are causing you to feel discomfort. Why do you not feel comfortable in a room by yourself, taking up space? Why do you feel like you need validation of others? All these things, which of course you can also go to therapy for, are within you, and the answers are within you. You just have to dig deep, sit down and listen. Listen to yourself, listen to your body, listen to the triggers, because they will show up in your life. If you don't listen, they'll continue to show up and you won't heal from whatever traumas you're going through. 3, confidence. Be confident in yourself. Be confident in what you bring to the table. Be confident that you are the table. Be confident in that you know yourself because you've done the work. I know who I am. I love who I am, right? Knowing who you are is so important in this process, and you can only do that if you are alone, okay? If you are in your solitude, if you know you need to be in your solitude to know who you are. Because if you're constantly with someone else, then we kind of mimic the people around us, right? That's what they always say, like, who's in your field? That's what we say on the podcast. Who's sitting at your table? You know, we're gonna mimic those people in our lives, but if we go into our solitude bubble, and this can happen in multiple parts of your life, then we get more comfortable, and then what we bring to the table is different. It's unique. It's uniquely you. And of course, then you finally get from that stage of loneliness to solitude. And I love solitude. I love my me time. I love being alone. It's an amazing time because I'm freaking amazing company. So if this is something that you're struggling with, I totally recommend you getting this book and digging into this chapter because he talks so much about this. And of course, we don't want to stay in a relationship based on insecurities. We want to be in a relationship based on love and mutual acceptance. So if you're in a relationship because you're insecure of being alone, that's a sign right there. You gotta run. Work on yourself, work on loving yourself through this solitude, because to be honest, we are our first soulmates. And in page 34 in this book, he gives a quote that I like to share with you guys. Solitude helps you recognize that there's a you before, a you during, and a you after every relationship, forging your own way even when you have company and love. There was a you before this relationship, and there will be a you after. So remember that. Rule number 2, don't ignore your karma or sankharas. This chapter is all about learning from our karmas. And karmas, the way that he explained it in this chapter is totally different from what we believe. We believe that karma is like, okay, what comes around goes around. But it's more than that. It's more than that. When he talks about our karmas or sankharas, he says like what we put into the universe, that's usually what we will receive back. What you showcase, you attract. For example, if you're trying to find love, when we are not being authentically ourselves, for example, if I'm on the internet and I showcase my body, that is what I'm attracting. I'm attracting people that are gonna love me for my body. If you have money and you go around and you showcase that, you are showcasing money. What will come back to you are people that are attracted to money, not necessarily attracted to you. So when we're in a relationship, making sure that we're bringing our authentic self into that relationship. So the people that are with us, they're with us for the right reason and not so much of like the mask that we put onto the world. And the karmas that I'm trying to put into the world are all about honesty, loyalty, values, character, love, patience. Love is kind, love is blind. All of those things. That's what I'm trying to attract to me in this world. Those are the sankharas that I want. One of the things that I really like that he talked in this particular chapter is that we love filling the gaps of our lives with our partners. And it can be a friend, but most of the time when we're talking about love, we try to fill them up with our partners. Like if we are lacking validation, we seek validation in our partner. If we are lacking self-worth, we seek worthiness in our partner. And he talks that we shouldn't be seeking this in our relationships. There should be 2 whole people coming together as one. So if you have any traumas, any things that you still need to work through before getting in a relationship, and I understand that during our relationship, we can still be working on ourselves, of course. But I'm just saying, and he's just saying, that we shouldn't come into our relationship expecting the other person to fill in our gaps. The gaps of nurture, guidance, all the things that we lacked from our childhood. that is not our partner's job to fill, and we should be filling our own gaps. And then I love throughout this book that he gives us homeworks and little assignments. And in this particular chapter, he says, try writing a love letter to yourself. Try to write down all the things that you wish you have, all the things that you want to give to yourself, all the love that you want to receive, and give it to yourself. Like I talked before, take yourself on those solo dates, buy yourself the flowers. And I hope by you writing this love letter to yourself, you're able to visualize it, see it, manifest it. Rule number 3, define love before you think it, say it, or feel it. I feel like coming from this Disney background situation, we're like, oh my gosh, Prince Charming and soulmate. And we are not understanding that love is different for everybody. There's no universal agreement of what I love you means. So we ourselves have to figure out, what does I love you mean to us? When I tell somebody I love you, for the longest time, for me, I love you meant like I care about you. And then of course there's levels to this. Like I love my family. I love my friends. I love a little old lady in the street. I love total strangers sometimes. But when it came to romantic relationships, I'm in love with you. That's where for me, it meant like, I'm in love with you. Like, it's just different. Like I would go out of my way for you in different ways that, oh my gosh, I guess I have to redefine what I love you means to me at this point in my life, because just right now having this conversation, what it meant before, it's not meaning nothing. Like words are not coming out for it. And just knowing that when we get in a relationship, I love you, when we tell it to our partner, we're gonna have to live up to their expectations and their definition of I love you, not our own. And I can attest to this 100% because I was in, I'm just gonna call it a relationship because I'm tired of calling it a situationship. But I remember when I texted him, I love you. And I was reading this book called The Fifth Agreement. Amazing if you haven't read it. But it was talking all about, just doing things for yourself, not for the validations of others. Like, I don't love you because I expect you to love me back. I hope you love me back if it's someone that I love, but that does not necessarily stop me from loving you if you don't love me back. And I remember I texted him and I was like, I love you. And I believe he said it back. But I love you to me meant like, we're in this together, we're a team, I love you, like we're gonna do this together. You're my partner. And that was not the definition for the other person. Yes, it was a definition of I love you and I care for you as a person, but it wasn't I love you like I want to start a family with you. I love you, I want to be committed to you. It wasn't that kind of I love you. And that wasn't talked. So there was a lot of feelings, a lot of unanswered or unreciprocated feelings, and a lot of hurt emotions, and for no reason. Well, there was a reason, because we didn't communicate that. We didn't communicate what does I love you mean to me and what does I love you mean to you. And if we're not on the same terms and conditions, then that's a problem. And then he goes on and talks about the 4 phases that we cycle when it comes to love. And he talked about the difference between attraction and lust. And I'm not gonna go into all the details because you need to go read the book and read this chapter and really dig in because there's so much information in there. But the main difference between lust and attraction is the hormones that we're releasing. When it comes to lust, it's governed by estrogen and progesterone. But attraction also includes all those hormones plus dopamine and norepinephrine, which is the adrenaline. That attraction if you're like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to see him. Oh my gosh, I hope he's there. Oh my gosh, he texted me. Lust is more like take off your pants and your shirt and everything. That's more lust. But that dopamine and that norepinephrine is what gives you that euphoria, that magical, those butterflies in your stomach when you're like, oh my gosh, is this the man for me? Do I want to have 137 babies with this man? That is all the hormone talking. And the funny thing about this is that when those hormones rise, one hormone in particular, serotonin, drops. And that's our feel-good hormones. And that's when we get that anxiety of like, why didn't he text me back? Oh my gosh, does he really like me? Am I not good enough? What's going on? I haven't heard from him in like 3 minutes. Is he alive? Does he like me? What is going on? Am I good enough for him? that's a lowering of the serotonin. So it was really cool as a pre-med student looking into the hormones and how they play a role in our love life. Again, when we're in tune with our body and we know ourselves, we can learn how to use all the tools that we have to make better decisions, not only in life, but in what creates our life. And one of the questions that we talked about at the beginning was like, do opposites really attract? He talked a little bit about this, and he goes more in depth, of course, but do opposites really attract? He focused more on knowing how to talk through our differences rather than focusing on our similarities. Because as human beings, we are a world all on ourselves. I am a whole world. And when we come into partnership with someone, that's a whole other world with other sets of beliefs and ideas and values. So if we're not aligned in those sets and ideas and values, then of course the worlds are gonna collide and boom. But when we are aligned, there's still certain things that we have to navigate through. And navigating through those differences, it's what makes a relationship. So not focusing so much on the similarities, because when everything's similar, then it's easy. The relationship is teaching you nothing. It's like you're in your own world. It's like this person is in the same world as you. And the amazing thing, which I always loved about being in partnership with someone, is that you get to grow together, you get to love together, you get to just understand and view this whole other world that you've never had before or ever seen before. So differences do attract, but make sure that you're able to talk through those differences and communicate. Communication is so big. So I can tell you, I can attest to this. So if you and your partner cannot communicate, or the person that you're seeing, then it's gonna be a no. It's gonna be a no. So red flag. Woo! Rule number 4, your partner is your guru. And every time I hear the word guru, I'm thinking of your partner is in this, oh, I'm the teacher, you're the student type of vibe. But the way that he talks about guru in a partnership is like you're equal. You're both learning from each other. You're both the teacher and the student simultaneously in this dance. And jealousy and ego have to die in order for this relationship to flourish. If we want a relationship to last, if we want to grow and have the kind of love that we all want, we have to set death to the ego and jealousy, because that does not come from a place of love. That comes from a place of control. A real guru doesn't want to take power. He wants to empower, or her. They want to empower. So as a partner, I want to empower you to live your most authentic self. I want to empower you to live your very best life. That's what I want. And if I can teach you things along the way, great. And if you can teach me things along the way, great. And that's a partnership. And I love the way that he talks about the guru. He says the guru does not do anything that they don't feel comfortable doing themselves. So a lot of us are asking our partners to do things for us that we are not doing for them. It's a partnership. It's a give and take in a way. Remembering that the guru leads by example. And there's a quote that he mentioned in this chapter, and I'm gonna read it for you guys. He says, our goal is simply to help them get to the next step in their journey, not the next step in our vision of what their journey should be. So we shouldn't be trying to control our partner and telling them who they should be and who they shouldn't be, and what they should like and what they shouldn't like. That is not your job as a life partner, as my guru, as a student teacher exchange that we have going on here. We all have our different paths and we all have a purpose to fulfill. And I'm jumping ahead to another chapter, but he talks about this. He talks about just if you can't respect and support your partner's journey and purpose in this life, then you shouldn't be with that partner, because as the guru, you should be empowering them to live in their purpose, because that's where we're going to be the happiest. And of course, he had to talk about identifying your partner's love language. For me, my love language is quality time and acts of services. I feel the most loved when I'm just being held and cuddled and just loved on. Quality time. I love traveling, like when we do things together, even if it's just a ride to the store, or you text me and say, hey, you want to go pick some food up with me, or I'm getting a haircut, you want to come with me? Yes, I want to sit there and watch you get a haircut because I freaking love you and I just love spending time with you, and I love that. And then acts of service. I love when people do things for me. Not because like, oh my gosh, I love when people do things for me, but from a place of like, damn, when people do things for me, that means for me, in my mind, the way that I view it is like, they care about me. They love me. They were thinking of me. They want to make my life easier. And that motivates me because I'm such a giver as well. Like, I want to make your life easier. I want to do things for you because that's how I show love too. And then another thing, when he tied it all together, identifying your partner's learning style. As a partner and a life partner, there's going to be micro evolution all throughout our lives, and we're going to be changing as human beings. So learning is going to be a big thing in whatever partnership or relationship you have. And because we're always changing, we're always going to have to be learning. And that is the best way to get connected, is through learning. How does your partner learn? Do they like podcasts? Do you like reading books? Do they like, I'm a person that loves like hands-on things, and I like to be able to see. I'm very visual, and that's how I learn the most. So for example, if my partner and I want to do an activity together that's gonna make us deeper and closer, something should be something that I can see, visual, like that stimulates me with like challenges. Like for example, an escape room, or we go snowboarding for the first time. I love traveling. Traveling's my favorite thing. But it doesn't have to be out of the country. It can just be anywhere. Let's go kayaking. Let's try this new beach. Let's do whatever. I love that because it ties it all in. The way that I learn by doing and seeing, and also my love language, quality time, acts of service. I'll have all your babies. All your babies. I'm just like, green flags, green flags. Rule number 5, purpose comes first. He gives this quote that I want to share with you guys. The meaning of life is to find your gift. The purpose of life is to give it away. When we are not living in our purpose, resentment builds up. If we are in a relationship, which I feel like a lot of people think that that's what a relationship is. Sometimes we're like, I don't want to get married. I don't want to do this because that's just going to hold me down. Like, no, again, the guru mentality, right? Like we're learning from each other, and we're both the teacher and the student simultaneously. A relationship shouldn't hold you down from your purpose. If your purpose is to be, for example, a Victoria's Secret model, I'm just putting that out there, and that brings you the most joy, the most happiness, and you get with somebody that sees that and it's like, no, my woman is gonna be covered up. I don't want you to be anywhere with a bikini. Like, that's not for you, that's not for us. Now you're not living in your purpose. Now you have built up resentment. Now there's gonna be some problems in this relationship because he's in his ego, and there's jealousy, and there's not that student-teacher vibe. The guru wants power and not to empower. Are you picking up what I'm putting down? When we are not living in our purpose, it's much harder for us to be happy and to be happy for other people. Like, there's gonna be that sense of jealousy when we see other people doing the things that we want to do but can't, and the only part that's saying can't is your significant other. It's your spouse. It's the person that you chose to live your life with. Like, who wants that? And a lot of people are choosing that, or being in that mindset or in that relationship, and that's why the outsiders are like, bruh, I don't want to get married. They're gonna tie me down. I'm not gonna be able to do the things I love, and it shouldn't be like that, okay? Of course, there's mutual respect, and I'm not gonna go to the strip club if that's what you were used to doing. Yeah, your mindset, we need to work on that, and you still have traumas that you have to go through. If that's what you want to do, if that's what you believe your purpose is. No shade with it, no shade with it. But for the most part, like, your partner should be able to empower you in your purpose. If your purpose is to be a motivational speaker, I will freaking take care of the kids when you're gone. Go do that, babe. I support you. I got your back 100% of the time. Babe, you wanna be a doctor? I got you. I got you. I'll help you study. I'll support you financially. I'll support you emotionally. Whatever it is, I have your back. Not like, I can't do that. And that's what I talked about before. Like, if you as a partner, again, and it all ties in, if you know yourself, if you know who you are, and you know, then you're gonna know like what you can handle and what you can't handle. And if having someone putting all their time on school and being able to support them through that or through a hard part, or like just school is not for you and you don't really care of them becoming a doctor or not, then this is not the partner for you. If you can't support your partner in their purpose, then they're not your partner. Bounce that ass out of here. For you and for them, because it's not gonna be a happy, mutual, fun time. You guys should be helping each other prioritize each other's purpose. And he digged a little bit about when you have kids and being a parent, because then your purpose sometimes can be put on pause. But when that happens, just know that like the trade-off, have dates for that, have time for that. It's like, babe, Tuesday mornings, that's all you. Work on what you gotta do. Do that YouTube channel, do that podcast, do those things that you wanna do. I'll take care of the kids. But Wednesday, honey, it's mine. It's my time. You know, things like that. Or like, hey babe, I'm gonna support the family while you go to school. I got you. I'm gonna support you in your purpose and this entrepreneurship thing that you're trying to build. And then when you make it, or let's say I'm gonna do this for 2 years, having a time set is very important, open communication. And then those 2 years, I wanna do something. I wanna dig into my purpose. Okay, let's switch roles. I'll take care of the household. I'll do what I gotta do for you to be able to do what you want to do. And sometimes you have to switch off like that, and sometimes both of you can live in your purpose at the same time, and shifts kiss. But when you don't, and there's family and kids in the mix, then you can still have both. You can still have both. Rule number 6, win or lose. In a relationship, sometimes we get so focused on winning that we forget that your partner and you are on the same team. Like, why are you tripping up your partner? We are on the same team, and it's so important to remember that. I was listening to a podcast episode from Relationship, and they talked about the difference between playing baseball and playing football when it comes to relationship. And it kind of ties this all in, because in baseball, you hit the ball and you hope that the other person doesn't catch it, because then you're out. You want to let that shit slide. But in relationships, honey, we're playing football. You throw that ball at me, I'm gonna catch it and I'm gonna run to the finish line like, You know, we have to remember that we're in the same team. And as well as, I love Stephen Speaks. If you follow him on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, he's amazing. He talks a lot about relationships. And one of the things that he talked about is matching energies. When your partner, let's say you've had a rough day, you come home and sometimes we have an attitude. Sometimes the day is just freaking heavy on us. We don't want to match our partner's energy like that. In the sense like, oh, you mad now? I'm gonna bring my masculine energy out. Like, oh, so what are you mad for? Why are you bringing that shit home? Like, no, you bring your feminine energy. You meet them where they are. You bring them more soft. It's like, hey babe, I know you're going through a rough day. Is there anything I can do for you? Go take a shower, babe. I'll take care of the kids. Babe, take a minute. I'm gonna let you be alone for a couple of minutes so you can decompress. That is partnership. That is the guru. That is teacher-student exchange. That is catching the ball and running to the end game, okay? And then in this chapter, there was like a game changer, because of course we all know about the 5 love languages, okay? Like I said, quality time and acts of service are my top 2. Those are chef's kiss for me. But one of the things that he added in here is our fighting styles. Do we know our fighting styles? Like we talked about before, in a relationship, yes, opposites attract, but with that, it comes like discourse. And we have to be able to talk it out and work it out through our differences. And how we work through conflict makes a difference. And he has top 3 fighting styles in his book. Number 1, venting, finding a solution right then and there. Let's talk about it, honey. I don't want to go to bed mad at you, and I don't want you to go to bed mad at me. Number 2, the hiding fighting style, which was me all the way. I feel like now I'm more like a 1, because I talk about things, but I do sometimes need my space. So hiding is number 2, and that was me all throughout my marriage, all the time. Like because I grew up like having to be the people pleaser and all of that, I just avoid conflict. I just avoid conflict like the plague. Like conflict and I, before. Now I'm like, let me tell you something. But before, I avoided conflict like the plague. So that was my hiding Hiding was me. That was my fighting style. I don't want to talk about it right now. I don't want to talk to you. I don't even want to see you. Like, I need some me time because I don't want to say things that I don't mean. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. And I'm gonna just go. And then the third one is exploding. And I believe that this is the one that none of us want to get to because it encourages toxicity in the relationship. And so in a situation, if you have to step away and focus on the real problem, do that. And the more that we are in tune with who we are, again, being in the solitude journey and knowing ourselves and being okay with being alone and then bringing that partner in, then this steps just becomes much easier because you know if like, okay, I'm gonna need some time because the ego is taking over and I need to calm down. Or like, yeah, babe, let's talk about it. This is how I feel from the get-go. And then we can fix it because your partner is not the problem. He's not the enemy. The problem is the problem. Rule number 7, don't break in a breakup. And he sums this up so beautifully in a quote that I'm gonna read for you guys. For the longest time, we thought love was possessive and this is my person, mine, 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 mine. And it's not. It's like literally a beautiful, untouched space in Costa Rica where the animals run free and they're wild and they're beautiful, living their best life, living their purpose, but they still come to that same tree in that same part of the Amazon or Costa Rica, whatever. They still come to the same spot because that's their spot. They still come home, baby. They still come home. They don't need a freaking leash. They just spread their wings and fly. But I'm gonna read this quote to you real quick. So he says, it's hard in a breakup to remember that we are still complete even though we've lost someone. This is where all the work you've done pays off. You've taken all the steps to build your ability to be in solitude. You know, intellectually at least, that you don't need a relationship to feel complete. You know your tastes and opinions and your values and your goals. And now in spite of all those hormones telling you otherwise, I want you to recognize that when your relationship crumbles, you are not what breaks. So freaking powerful. And it reminds us that it's not us that break during a relationship or a heartbreak or a breakup, right? It's the ideas that break, is the future that we created in our minds that break, is the possibilities that break, is the illusion that we wanted for that relationship. What we wanted for those relationships, those dreams, those goals, those aspirations, all of that is what's breaking because they're not gonna come to fruition. They're not gonna come to life. And we have to grieve. We have to grieve saying goodbye to those things and make space for bigger and better things. I feel like when we go through a breakup, he talks about having a reality check and being honest with yourself. It goes back to, did you know yourself? Were you in this relationship because you didn't want to be alone or because you had insecurities? What was the real intention of this relationship? And if it's breaking you so much, like to the point that you don't know who you are, then you didn't really know who you were in the relationship to begin with. So digging into that, being honest with yourself, because without honesty and self-awareness, it's really hard for us to grow and evolve in whatever aspect of our life we're trying to do that at. And also remembering before our karma check, were we putting things out into the universe that, or into this partnership that we would want other people to do to us? What were we portraying? Did we get this partner by showing off our bodies and then we gain 30 pounds and our partner doesn't like us or is not sexually attracted to us anymore and that's why we broke up? You know, again, what we're putting into the world, the karma that we're putting out there is what we're gonna receive. So being honest with ourselves, being self-aware is key. Your partner should be a safe space. Let the mask fall. Be authentically you. And if they can't handle that or the partnership just falls apart when you officially take the mask off, then they weren't the person for you. They were not the life partner for you. They were not the relationship for you. And when you've done your work through your solitude, you're okay to walk away from anything that does not suit you. And as I go through this healing journey, I feel like I'm wearing less and less masks, not only in my private life, but in my everyday life. I'm showing up authentically me everywhere I go for the most part. And I'm showing up as me. And if you don't like that, then you don't need to be in my life. I'm not putting any mask for nobody anymore. This is me. And if you want to be with me, great. And if you don't, that's also great because I am enough. I am enough. And one of the tips that he talks about through breakups, and even before getting to this point of breakup, is cultivating intimacy and the vibration that we bring of who's in your field, right? Like we talk about on the podcast. Who's in your field? When we bring low vibration into our relationship, whether it's romantically or platonic, that's not suiting us. That's not filling us up. And when he talks about low vibration, it could be an example as like gossip. If when we talked to our partner, all we're doing is, oh my gosh, look what Jennifer did this week. Can you believe it, honey? Yeah, she came into work and she was super late, like always. That's gossip. How is that nurturing and reassuring your relationship? It's not. And then there's medium intimacy. And medium intimacy is when you talk just about like, oh, by the way, Susie has a piano recital and we had to take Tommy to the baseball game and the dishes need to be done and I need detergent and let's talk about the list that we want to do. And also I have to buy a new planner and a new washer and dryer. Did you talk to blah, 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 so and so, you know? And that's medium. We're only talking about the things that we need to do, not things that really build us. And then we have high intimacy. And high intimacy is when we're talking about our goals and our dreams. And honey, like this year, I really want to travel more. Let's plan a way that we can do that. Oh my gosh, honey, this year, I really want to plan for a baby. Honey, this year, I really want to buy a house. We should really buy a house. Let's do that together. Honey, this year, I really want to save money. How can we do that? Babe, this year I want to start a YouTube channel. I think I'm going to do this, this, and this. And talk about your aspirations and your goals and your purpose. Talk about your purpose. And again, it all ties back to supporting each other through that purpose and really empowering them to go and reach and be that hummingbird, which we talk about who's in your field at the Strong Sunflowers podcast. If you listen to podcasts, go follow us on Spotify. We talk all about just living your life more wholeheartedly and really advocating for yourself and others. But yes, your spouse can be your cheerleader, cheering you on, being that hummingbird, like, yes, babe, go for it. You got this. You are the sexiest, the finest, the smartest person in the room. Thanks, babe. Thanks, babe. I got this. And knowing that you can tackle anything in this world. By yourself, yes. But with this man by my side, I can freaking move mountains. And that's a goal of mine. I'm manifesting that into existence. My husband and I, together, these two worlds, these two kingdoms, honey, we're unstoppable. My imaginary husband. We're unstoppable, but that is the goal. But yes, he gives another example of like deepening your relationship is through not so much through entertainment, because when you watch a movie together, you're not really talking, you're just laying there. So that's like a medium to low frequency. But if you really want to cultivate that intimacy and grow together and see where your partner is at this moment in time, have experiences and experiments, learn how to cook something together, go kayaking, do something new, go skydiving, all of the things. Learn together, get to know where your partner is viewing the world, what perspective they're viewing the world right now in this time and space. It's such an amazing opportunity to be able to see into your partner's world and see how they're viewing the world and how they're applying it. And for a person that's going through a breakup right now, we encourage you, because he also talks about it in the book, write it down. Scream it in the top of a mountaintop. If you're looking for closure, write down your own story. Write down your own ending. You don't always have to go back to what hurt you and ask them, hey, what did you hurt me? That is another sign of that you have to heal something within. That is another sign of trauma. That is another sign of validation. Sometimes people just hurt. Sometimes people just hurt you. And they don't have a good enough reason. There's never a good enough reason to hurt somebody. But the truth of the matter is that they hurt you, and what you need to do is, how can I heal from that? And if that means writing your own story and your own ending, like, yeah, they broke up, but she found bigger and better things to come. That made room for better and bigger things to come into her life, then so be it. And after every relationship, make sure that you're taking accountability for yourself and asking yourself these questions of like, what could I have done better? What did I do wrong? How can I improve my next relationship going in? What can I improve within myself? And one of the things that I really loved that he shared was the difference between the mind and the intellect. The mind is kind of like just us taking what life has going on right now and being like, oh my gosh, I'm so fat. Oh my gosh, I'm bloated. Oh my gosh, he doesn't like me. Oh my gosh, I'm trash. Oh my gosh, I'm not worthy. And the intellect is kind of like what grounds us. For me, my intellect is big G. She tells me like it is. She doesn't sugarcoat shit. She comes from the get-go, which is me. Big G is just me, but my higher self. And I love her. She don't come to play. She is a whole vibe. The intellect is the one that's gonna ground you and really tell you like, hey, it's not that you are a fat person or lazy, is that you've been eating junk food for the past month and that's why you're so sluggish. Your body is wanting a detox. Go get a detox. Or it's not that you are not worthy of love, it's that you keep seeking love from these men that don't want to love you. He has told you multiple times that you are not the one and you still show up like, hi honey. Hi honey what, girl? Hi honey what? How many times do you need to be rejected by a man? And that's another thing I learned this year. I will not give a man multiple chances to tell me he doesn't want me in multiple languages and multiple ways. Like, honey, he don't want you. And that's big G talking. He don't want you. You're not the chosen one. Choose yourself. And to finish off this video with rule number 8, to love again and again. I think that for the longest time, because Hollywood and all the movies only talk about romantic love, having that life partner. And even though that is amazing to have, that is such a beautiful gift to have, we focus so much on that we don't focus and we don't see the love that we get from our godchildren, the love that we get from our family and friends, the love that we give from strangers. And in the book, he gives us a little quote and it says, we are connected. And when we serve others, we are serving ourselves. So make sure that even if you're going through a breakup, even if you don't have that significant other, just know that we are love ourselves and we can love again and again. Don't let that make you hard. Don't let that turn your heart into stone and just closed off to the world, because there's so much love out there that people just freely give without nothing in return. That is the best way to love. I just love everybody. I love people. I want people to succeed. I root for strangers. I just have a big heart. And that's one of the things that I've always told myself throughout this journey of after my divorce and then my situationship relationship is not to close off my heart. Like, I refuse to let anybody change my character and change who I am. Like, I love how I love, and I'm not gonna allow that relationship or that situationship to ruin that for the next person, to ruin that for my life partner, to ruin that for the people that come across me. Because if you come across me, I want you to experience sprinkle jokes, because I'm sarcastic as hell, but I also want you to experience love. I want you to know that I love you. I want you to feel that. I want to radiate that. So that's very important to me. And he also mentioned this quote, and I believe it was from a poem, but it said, the river that flows in you also flows in me. And on the Strong Sunflowers podcast, when we talk about building to bloom, when you reach that bloom moment of like, you reach this big goal or this big dream in your life, after that comes the harvest. And the harvest is when you get to share it. You know, we get to share our gift, we get to share our success, we get to share our love. Share it. Because like he said, the river that flows in me flows in you too. And we come from the same Father, Allah, our God. And just knowing that and being kind to the people that come into our life, or just being kind, period. We don't know what other people are going through. And just experiencing the power of love. When we give love, we receive more love. And when we're giving love and not so focused on receiving love, that opens us up for more love. And those are the 8 Rules of Love by Shetty. Oh my gosh, if you do not have this book, you need to go get it. This book has taught me so much, and I have not only applied it to my future romantic relationships, but also to my platonic relationships, to my friends. I want to be gurus with them. You know, sometimes I'm the teacher, sometimes I'm the student, but I'm not better than anybody. I'm just learning from everybody and loving everybody. And if you like this book review, make sure you give it a like, comment, tell me what's your favorite rule of love. And I'll see you guys on the next video.